Yes, welcome to Marriage Bliss. This is your home where we empower and enrich our marriages together. We welcome you to our show together this day. We are blessed. We are hosting a wonderful couple, and it's going to be a very beautiful moment together as we discuss about marriage boundaries together. And we are going to enrich one another. We are the Muigais. This is
Irene
Muigai, and we are blessed to host a wonderful couple, the Miners. And so I want to give you a brief moment to introduce yourself, then we carry on with the program. Karibu sana, the Miners. You can introduce yourself. You can tell us who you are, how long you've been in marriage, and such.
Thank you very much. We are the Miners. My name is Daniel Miner, and with my wife,
Laura Miner.
And we are very much pleased to be here this morning to participate in this program. We have been married for the last 8 years. It has been quite a good journey, and we are very happy with the Muigais. We have worked together, and we have been guided, and we are very much happy to even share our experience this morning. Yeah.
Awesome. Laura, you want to say something?
That's enough.
Awesome. That is very good. We thank God.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about the boundaries in our marriages. How we need to put some boundaries on how we relate with other people. So because marriage, we say it's for two people. You know, I and my wife, and so whoever, any other person that comes is a third party in the marriage. And so we need to draw lines on how far they can go, including our children. I understand that you're blessed with your 2 children, but these people, remember, they have found you carrying on. But we have seen many marriages separating just because of differences arising from children. And you know the Bible says that children are a great inheritance. They are blessing from God. And so why should we cause things and people to come and separate us? And so we are talking about boundaries. We shall be talking about boundaries in our workplace, the way we relate with other people. We are going to talk about boundaries when it comes to our parents. You know, we need to draw lines because, again, you understand that even relatives, and actually we can start from that point. How do we draw lines when it comes to the relatives? And maybe Irene, what is your view on how we should draw lines when it comes to relatives in our family? Because we find ourselves hosting them, we find them coming, and some of them we want to go some extra mile to tell us how we should do things in our home.
Yeah, this is quite a good discussion, and it's awesome when we come together to enlighten each other. Like, where do we put the boundaries? Because at the end of the day, we have these people as part of our lives, and we can't shut them away. If it's my kids, it's a blessing. Our parents, again, are a blessing. Our friends and relatives that God has given us. But it's also good to understand, and as we keep pointing at marriage, please, what is marriage to you? You know, like, what brought us together? And when we get into God's context, the Bible says that a man shall leave the mother and the father, and the same with the woman, so that the two will become one. So when God is talking about this oneness, he knew that we are coming from families, we are coming from, society that had friends, the church members, the colleagues and everything. But God in his wisdom tells us to be one. And this oneness doesn't just happen. We have to be very deliberate and intentional to make us one. And before even we come to the relatives, there's also a point to understand that even from within, we can have things that are disturbing us and making us to live as two. The Lord has called us to be one. So maybe before I give the Miners a chance to share with us, the topic of relatives can be very broad. And we can't really exhaust it today. Because when you talk about relatives, we are talking about in-laws, the parents of your spouse. We are talking about their siblings, their relatives, the way of doing things, their religion, the way they practice life, in general. And then we have now other relatives who are now on the broader family. The relatives like the cousins, the aunties, stretching to the grandparents and all that. So basically what we'll be talking today is helping our viewers as we help ourselves understand more. How do we set the boundaries? What guides us? And maybe share some of the experiences that we've had. So maybe before we really expound on the relatives and all that. Yeah, so I'm going to invite the minors because today they are our guests to help us understand what do you really understand by boundaries in your marriage. How has the Lord been helping you to set them? Because actually it's the Lord who helps us. We can't manage without the help of God. And maybe share with us, what are your experiences? Have you crossed boundaries? Have people crossed? And how did you deal with it? Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. I think when you talk about boundaries, I'm going to take the Roman language, a boundary.
Yes.
And a boundary, my understanding is a proper terrain. A proper terrain, that means with the proper terrain, there is something exclosed, denoting the beginning and the end of something. And boundaries, I'm going to join it with the communication. You cannot talk about boundaries that you have not communicated. And you have to communicate the boundaries. Because the other understanding of boundary is about exercising self-control in several areas. When it comes to dealing with us, like spouse, when dealing with the friends, when dealing with the parents and in-laws, all that. I can say when we got married, the most important thing we had to agree on different boundaries, on how we are going to relate with our parents, how far or which communication can you share and which information we can share. The same case applies to the friends. We had to agree. This is the way you are relating with your friends. When you're not married, then you are not married. This is the way you are supposed to relate. And obviously that one, as I said earlier, it goes with the communication. And that one applies to all the people around you, which are the significant others. Yeah, I'm going to give to my wife to explode on that.
Another question maybe we should ask ourselves, why do we have boundaries? Number one, for us, we have boundaries to protect our marriage, and we protect it from friends, we protect it from relatives. Another reason why we have boundaries is to prosper. Just to prosper what we have together. And the last reason why we have put boundaries is to prevent. And like an accident, we prevent something from happening.
Mitigation measures.
Yes. So that is why we've put boundaries in place. And I think our first encounter when we got married, it is boundaries between the two of us. Remember, we were courting, and courtship, we didn't know each other. We could meet somewhere after some time, So when we now got married and we are in this house together, we came to realize, one, we have very different personalities. I'm actually the opposite of my husband. He's an extrovert, an extreme extrovert. I'm an introvert. So we had to put boundaries in place between the two of us so that I don't cross his line, and also he doesn't cross my line, and we also know how to live with each other in unity. So personally, Dan had to know how to give me my time, especially after the babies. I'm one person that recharges after activity, and with children. Nimepika, we've talked. I need some time to recharge. So I thrive when I get my quiet time. And my quiet time is just when the house is quiet, some cool worship. I get time to recharge, and after that I'm okay. So maybe he can...
Quiet time, eh? And I'm one person I very much interested with politics. And now this being an electioneering year, there's a lot of things happening in politics. When it is in the evening, we want to watch news. This is the time that I want to concentrate. So if my wife, there's something she needs to share with me, she has to remember that she's going to get her attention, the total attention, when she allows me to take an opportunity, watch news, and probably even share my experience from what I've watched, and obviously my opinion on the subject matter. So I can say that one has helped us because I don't feel offended when I want to talk to her. She's not listening, and she does not feel offended when I'm watching news and I'm not taking much attention to her. Yeah, so...
And I think I like that. I want to come in. One thing that I appreciate, and you said, it's about communication when it comes to boundaries. Because if you don't communicate the lines, you find people crisscrossing, and that's how one gets offended. And whether it is the internal boundaries, just as you have said, and also the external. Because even to the people that you are relating with, they need to know. I've had and I've seen people who works in an organization, and they do not even declare. The colleagues there do not know that they are married. You see, and so people can do communication, they can flirt, they can joke around, you know, and you realize this person, how come you didn't declare your position that you are married? You know, but communication is very, very, very important, and I want to appreciate that part, whereby even within ourselves, to safeguard our marriage, we need to communicate, you know, communication about our likes and our dislikes. Now, when something that I would want us to address is about when you're dealing with the external people outside our marriage, and how we safeguard our marriage, because the marriage, just as we always say, not everyone is happy when you are thriving in your marriage, including the enemy. The devil, the Bible says that he's out there looking for someone to kill, to destroy, and to steal. You see, and so even our marriages, they are the first target. And so the moment you don't declare your boundaries, whether it is at workplace, whether it is at home, you are likely to have conflict, and you realize conflict can arise from all over, any source, including those people within and outside. And so tell us, how have you drawn how have you managed to draw the lines or the boundaries to safeguard your marriage when it comes to the external people?
I think I'm going to begin with the parents. That's both our parents. Her mom is my mom, and her dad is my dad. And one thing, immediately we got married, even before we got married, when my parents got to know her, and we started the boundaries lights from there. That I really had to show them my parent that I value her, and I could not allow someone to talk something negative. I'm there with my parents. I'm trying to contribute on the topic, and I had to set a boundary that this is my wife, and this is the way she is. She likes her quiet time, and I love her, and I cannot take part in contributing something maybe negative they're talking about, and that is one. The other thing, it is our personal issues. I don't go to my parent, and she does not go to her parent. talking some personal issues that we have not agreed that we can go, we are free to communicate. If there's a topic which we feel that should be kept within ourselves, we agree this is something that we are going to talk within ourselves, because we realize when you give too much information, you realize the parents and obviously the family members, the cousins, Muigai mentioned, you have given them a leeway. They can come and talk about this and actually expound.
And actually, when they come with good faith. They are, they are trying to give their opinions, not necessarily to destroy or to fight your marriage, but probably trying, like the issue of the parents. Majorly, most of the parents come in with good faith. They are wondering, now how do we help our children? Now you see, now they are suffering. And so the moment you open that door, they'll come with the interest of, with good faith, trying to see how they can help. But in the process of helping, the damage happens. And so I like what you're saying about communicating and being in agreement what you are going to allow other people to come in. How about the workplace? Maybe you can also mention that one. Drawing lines when it comes. Maybe Rauda, you can talk about how do you manage to draw lines when it comes to colleagues.
Okay, before maybe I talk about colleagues, there's something I'd love to point out concerning parents and in-laws. Okay, like for us, we are open to opinions and we listen because, but again, we have a mind of our own, and that the line was drawn way when we were courting. And I'd cite an example when we went home, like when he went for the introduction. Actually, he gave them, I've come to introduce this girl. This is the girl I'm marrying. We are going to see her people on this and this date. We are the tentative dowry dates are this and this time, and the wedding, the tentative dates are this and this, already lined up. He was not going to ask for the opinion. Munamwona aje? What do you think about this
When do you think I can go?
Okay, when do you think we can go for the introduction? So he had a mind of his own, as much as we'll get opinions and, ideas, but already you know what you're giving them, and this is my choice. So about workplace, I think number one is you're married. And when you're married, this is a title. It is, there is that triangle where we have God and we have us. So I'll not only be married at home. I am married everywhere I go. So even in workplace, the way I carry myself, am I going to allow fleets? There are compliments, and sometimes compliments can lead to fleeting. Am I texting my colleague late in the night? Am I talking about Daniel? Maybe he pissed me off at home, and I go share with my colleagues, and before they meet him, they already know him, and unfortunately maybe they know the negative side of him. So I'd say carry, you're married, and now walk like somebody that is married. Walk the talk. Then also maybe when I'm relating to people of the opposite sex, how am I relating to them? So done. Sure.
The one aspect that I would like to add, even when it comes to relating with the workmate, and there's a point of responsibility. Everything that is guarded, there's a part of responsibility. Each one of you has to take care of the choices that they make. They have to take care of the limits. They have to take care of the attitude and the feelings. the choices I make, how will they impact on the other person? So that is the part I can add on responsibility. And there is also the part of even carrying yourself with dignity when it comes to relating with your friends or with your workmates. At workplace is where you take majority of your life. When you leave in the morning, you leave at 8, you come back at 5, and you sleep. So at workplace is where you really needed to make the boundaries very clear. I know there is a part of also making life fun. You in the office place, you have parties in the office and you make jokes, but you should also know, even as I make jokes, how far these jokes should not go. Even as I say today, we are meeting somewhere, but maybe for example we have a get together. How far should I go? And carrying out the title everywhere you go.
That's a very good point. And never forgetting that there is the identity. Your identity should not drop your identity depending on the places where you are going. Every time we remember that you are married people, you are a husband and a wife. I don't know whether Eileen, you have something to add when it comes to boundaries and in relation to our friends and also at our work colleagues.
Maybe I'll try to point out something. Going back a little bit about the parents, it's important for our viewers to understand why we think our parents are intruding our marriages. And I think with this understanding, it helps you to deal with them the right way, to be kind enough, and to have the wisdom on how to maneuver about it. Now, we have different stages in life. When your parents give birth to you, like we are in that stage, it's the stage of nurturing our children, and we really get close to them, and we run their day-to-day lives. Then after that, they go to a stage where we have the youths, and in Kenya we say above 18, and they are slowly detaching from the parents. Most of them will be in colleges at this time, and others are hustling. They are getting jobs here and there, and you realize the bond of the parent is still a push and pull. They are not really gone out of the parents, the boundaries. But then now the trick comes when we get into the marriage, and that is where that is what we are discussing about today, because now this is a serious season, and our viewers need to understand this, and may the Lord help us to understand, so that we reduce some of these conflicts and misunderstandings in our marriage setups. Now, when it comes to marriage, it is the worst scenario I want to imagine for a parent whom you've grown with and they have nurtured you and you have very deep connections, and then now the same parents will literally give you away with all their blessings, that now you are no longer their, you are no longer under their control, and you've literally moved from their care, and even the physical, you are not around them, and you go away. Now, this stage in life for the parents, we call it the empty nest. The empty nest. You've been in this nest, like the little, the birds and the mommy feeding and everything, and feeding the warmth of each other. But this time when the kids are grown and they are married away, then the parents suffer what we call the empty nest. So it's also important even for the parents who are listening with us, because we are blessed and we are at different stages of parenting, so that you also understand what is happening within me, what this stage is in life, and then what it takes for me to respect the boundaries of my children, as they have been respecting my boundaries as their parent. So this emptiness, now the parents feel like something, it's like a grief moment, like loss, because they literally lose something, and so they are usually struggling with this grief moment in this stage of life, like, oh, my Laura is gone, now my dad belongs to this other person. So the parents have some mixed feelings. They also don't know how to cope with it if they are not helped. And this is where we find many of us now misunderstanding. And you know, it's very interesting when I'm following maybe on Facebook, and one day someone asked, make a comment about your mother-in-law. And I'm telling you the comments that were flowing. And I was reading, and of course I wrote something positive. And I was telling God, may you help us to understand the stages and the seasons of our lives. Because if I understand what my mother-in-law is going through, and he understands what his mother-in-law is going through, then we'll be part of support. We will not be frustrated, and we will not frustrate them. So that emptiness is very important for parents to understand, that it's okay to feel and grieve that you've given your child away, and then also comfort yourself, but I have been wanting the best of my child. I have brought them in good manners, parenting and everything, and I have been praying that the Lord bless them. So this is now the time that the blessing has come. So I need to let go and get used to understanding that now my daughter or my son is no longer under my care, and they have gone to start their life. Like we started with their daddy or their mommy, and that is why they were born out of that family. So you release them with your blessings, understand that what you're feeling as a parent at this stage is okay, and allow yourself to to move slowly as you adapt. And now us, the couples, the married couples, we need to understand our parents. Like if my mom is stretching so much to keep reaching, he needs to understand that my mom is not doing this to mess up our marriage. She's just struggling with the emotional detachments, the grief period. I'm putting it in quotes because really the meaning of grief and loss, it's mostly applied in death. But it is anytime you lose something you value, it is loss and grief. People need to support each other and understand. So when we have now this understanding in our family setups, we are not going to be having people commenting bad things about their mother-in-laws. How do I expect my mother-in-law after my wedding, she's all over me and she's very happy. Yet I have taken away her son. It's not easy. We need to be in these shoes. We need to understand and just cope with the changes as a family. Now, when I come to workplace, I think the minors have given us a very important carry home about how do I behave at my workplace. It is the values I carry. If I value my marriage, then I'll place it so high, and I'll always be proud of the crown. It's like a policeman. The way they go through the training, and it's so tough and everything. And to symbolize the mark of completion of the training that has been harsh, it's the crown they get. And that crown commands respect. Even though it's a very short lady or slim or maybe age-wise very young, she just needs to do her hands like this to raise her hand, and all the vehicles will stop in Thika Road or whatever highway it is. Because that crown carries authority, and it is of value, and it demands respect from all of us. So maybe I can challenge our viewers to carry your marriage like a valued crown that commands respect around. Because the same policeman or the policewoman, if they get off their crown and they intermingle with the crowd, nobody will respect them for who they are because they don't have any identity. But the moment they put their crown on, in the same crowd, they command respect. So if we carry our marriage like a crown, and be proud of it, that we have worked and we are working in this field. Because marriage is like military grounds, where a lot of discipline and self-control is demanded. And you follow instructions to the letter. So if we don't take our marriages like a training ground, because we keep planning and we say that marriage is work, that works. So there is work in marriage, being deliberate, respecting yourself, valuing what you carry as a married person, the way you carry yourself. Like, to what extent will I joke with my colleagues? When you carry around the crown, it will always defend you. Because people will respect you, because they know you are declaring it, and it comes back to communication. And I encourage people to put on the earrings, because that one is one mark in Kenya and under Christianity that helps me to know, before even you introduce yourself, this is a married man, this is a married woman. So, and then now your character and the values you carry should follow on the ring thing. So it is very important to always remember that we are married. It's a crown that demands respect.
That's a very good point. I appreciate the discussion. And just as we proceed on for a break briefly, when we come back, I want us to look at the areas of growth in our marriage, and some areas like the way we do investments. Because there are people, just as we are saying, decisions fall between what we agree, because we are one. But there are people, even where they settle, it has to be determined by either the colleagues or the parents or the siblings. Sometimes the discussion of very important matters, you are able to discuss with your people outside, only for your spouse to learn out of such. So when we come back, that is what we are going to discuss. Thank you so much, viewers, for such time that we are having. I hope you are learning, and I continue to encourage you to continue sharing. Click that like button, share, so that more people can also get blessed. Thank you so much. This is where we enrich our marriage. Marriage Bliss. Thank you. Viewers, to Marriage Bliss, this is where we enrich our marriages, and we partner with God to building godly marriages. And so at this point, I want us to look at the areas, boundaries when it comes to decision making. When it comes to decision making, who do we consult? And again, to what extent do we involve other people outside us? So maybe you can give the first priority to Raura to tell us when it comes to decision making.
So maybe something that I just remembered, maybe before I go to decision making, there's something about in-laws before maybe we go to decision making. And we are people that believe that it is God that gives children. And I think this is a part that really impacted us. Because one, we used to go home. We got children after 2 years into marriage. So immediately you get married, people start looking at your stomach. Bado, what are you waiting for? And we experienced a challenge in getting children. He did not run to his people to tell them, this girl has this big problem, and we have been told by the doctor we might never get children, because that was the report from the doctor. We kept it within us. My mom never knew what is happening, because she was also in the list of bado. I want to hold my grandchildren. Munangojea nini? It's 1 year into marriage. We want to see the fruits. That is something we guarded within us, because we thought it was important. This was a doctor's report, and we decided to trust and pray, the two of us. And it was not a very easy journey, but eventually God did what he was able to do, and we have our 2 beautiful children.
And glory
so
to God.
Thank you. Amen. On the part of investment and when we want to do something, we are usually influenced. I go to my friend who stays somewhere, and I love that place, and I want us to be neighbors. We'd go back again to our personal choices. we sit on the table.
Yeah.
What are we asking God for? Where do we want to settle? What kind of house do we want? What we want first, before maybe we are influenced by the fact that somebody has built a flat roof. So hata sisi we are building a flat roofed house. Somebody has a home coming up in Kenyatta Road. We are also running there. We are going to Kenyatta Road. Or my dad has told me there is this piece of land here, you know, he wants us to buy there, and we are going there. So we go back to what do we want, the two of us. Then we come to an agreement. Is it a viable idea? And this has really helped us. Like we used to keep chicken. And at some point, the business failed terribly.
Thank God you feasted on the eggs.
So, we went back on our feet really quickly because it is an investment we had agreed on. So if it was Dan's idea, I could be on his neck. I think I told you. I said. So we were back on our feet very fast, and we know we could comfort each other. There is the part of risk taking. We'd say we tried. We tried. So kama hatunge jaribu, tungekuwa bado na that desire to try. And number two, we have the experience out of the business idea that really failed. We can show somebody the way and tell them hapa usikanyage hivyo utaingia ndani ya shimo. So when we are investing, we agree. And as much as we are going to take the risk, tuko pale ndani and we are together and we are able to pat each other's shoulder and say it's okay, let's rub the dust off and stand again, and we can always try something else.
That's a good point. And also maybe we can also try to help one another, and especially as married couples, and how to keep our boundaries when it comes to friends, because the Bible says bad company corrupts good morals. And we have seen people who are walking straight up. We have handled cases of people coming and they tell us, my wife is getting out of the way because of the company. Please talk to my wife. Chana na hii grouping, this chamas and such. So I want us to see, do we agree? Like you can share with us. Do you agree on which friends to keep?
Yes.
Or do you how do you go about that?
I think just from here we started about communicating and also your identity about that. And let me give an example about the chamas that we normally go. And I appreciate my friends. Some of them, maybe they drink, and where we found ourselves, and probably it is a restaurant. My friends knows that I don't drink. So it's not a matter of when we find ourselves in very far from home, I'm going to tell him to take one for the road. But my friends know quite well that he does not drink, and I stick to that. Another thing, personally and also my wife, we don't feel offended when my wife and even herself, when she tells me that I'm not really liking the company that you are taking. Because one thing, it also takes humility for you to be able to take a compliment or a criticism which is there to help you. If you are the person that, and obviously she does it in love, and also do it in love. And minding about my dignity and my respect. And so when it comes to when it comes to the friends that we are keeping. Bottom line, we don't feel offended when we collect each other, and we always does it in love. And I want to thank God that for the 8 years that we have been married, we have not had a serious disagreement on the friends that we are keeping. Because one thing that majority of our friends is the one we have from church. We have gotten through church. We have gotten through some social gatherings where we have both my wife and her and myself, and she knows them. My wife knows my friends, and I know her friends. So I can say that I have some friends that she does not know, and she has friends that she does not know. Yeah, so that's one is a thing that has helped us to be able to make choice when it comes to friends.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Irene, I don't know whether you have something to add, but I would want you to address something that is also bringing issues in marriages, and that is about the gadgets that we use and boundaries. And I've had discussions where people say, my phone is my phone. It's okay, we are married, you keep your phone, I keep mine. Let's draw that boundary. You just know, the way I don't share your clothes, where do you want to use my phone? Can we talk about that even as we proceed, so that we see which position should we take as married couple? Because people out there, and especially our viewers here, they have their different opinions when it comes to such gadgets. And so should we draw boundaries on this one? Irene, you can tell us that.
Wow. I first want to pick what the minors have shared with us about the friends, because it is very important to know. Before we got married, we had friends that were existing, and among those friends you could have those maybe who are eyeing on you, and they are called the silent admirers. And so it is very key and it's very important for our viewers to understand the importance of authentic and honest communication when we now get married, so that we bring everything on the table, and these were my friends, you also share your friends, and you keep working, as time revolves, even those friends, you'll find out now that they join you into the married group, and so you can keep the friendship, and for those of them who have not been maybe their time has not come, or for one reason or another they are not married, it doesn't mean that we are going to dismiss them. But communication and value of marriage, as we said, is very key, so that you guard your marriage in all aspects. So we can continue keeping the friends, but we need to agree as the couple to what extent, and some we really don't need to keep. And it's also important for our viewers to understand that seasons happens to them all, and we have, for the 10 plus years that we've been married, this July we're celebrating our 11th year, and we really thank God. But there are very important things that we have picked, very important points that we've picked, and the lessons about friends. They are friends we try to analyze in life, and we appreciate that they came in our lives for such seasons. Because they are friends that God gives you to help you cross from one place to another, but not necessarily to carry them along in life. So we need also the wisdom to understand, why am I having such kind of friends at such a time? And when their season expires, and us too in the lives of others, then you need to understand that we have not now been enemies. The season have just expired. You let them be, and you move on. And God brings you others to help you in that season, and so on and so forth. But then there are friends who again will stick closer than even a brother. Although this is a verse of contention in the Bible, people say that the friend that is being told is Jesus. But it was about a friend who will really stick than a brother. So there are these friends that the Lord will also give you in life that you walk along with. For example, you need to have mentors in marriage. these are people you are going to work with throughout your marriage, you know.
Yeah.
And we need to understand what kind of friends are these in our lives, guided by what are their values. Because definitely if we are not sharing values, especially in marriage, then I don't need to keep this kind of friends. It's time to let them go. If they cannot join me and carry my values, then they will not be worthy in my life. So we should not struggle with friends whom we definitely feel, and it's so clear, they are draining us. They are taking away our energy to concentrate on the values we hold for our marriage. We just shun them and move on with life. Now, when it comes to the gadgets, maybe I'll give the minors a chance, even as we come to a close. I know our time is really much gone. But they can briefly share with us, how have you been handling the phone issue? Because this has become very contentious in our marriages, and it is a big, big issue and bringing conflicts every day. I don't know whether dance phone is a no-go zone. I don't know whether routers have all the zigzags and all the patterns combined together for the passwords. Maybe you can share with us.
Okay, we don't have passwords. I know his PIN in case his phone goes off. He knows my PIN, and not just phones, but even ATMs. Okay, we don't hold a joint account, but whoever gets into the account first, you know, like he is on the way home and he needs to pay rent, who was paid first? Is there money in my account? There's a time he had my ATM card for, I think, for the longest time possible, until I forgot my PIN, and he went somewhere and I had to call. You remember my PIN? What is my PIN? Okay, so there we don't have like a boundary. I get access to his phone. I know his M-Pesa PIN. He knows my M-Pesa PIN. I can borrow his phone. No, sometimes I see people saying simu ni kitungu. Utalia. Okay, we've not experienced a point where there are those zigzags and he's in the bathroom and I am trying to figure out what is his PIN. Actually, it is something we did not sit and discuss, but it is something that came out of the trust we have built.
You're right.
On each other. We've never sat and told each other, sasa hakuna password, because we've never put passwords. Why have we never put passwords? Because with time we have learned to trust each other. We have built trust, and we have walked the talk. We have always remembered we are married. So there is not that text message that I need to delete before he gets my phone.
I think the other thing about phone and the boundaries, it is the usage, and especially when you are with your spouse. Do you have a limit at what time you should receive your phone? Or you are there, someone calls you at 11 and you are about to sleep and you are there receiving. I think there's something we did not discuss about it. But there are some times, even when I want maybe to even call someone at work, or I want to call someone, even a family member, when maybe there's nothing which is emergency, and maybe she reminds me, but don't call her, it's past 9, and by we have realized that sometimes you can't call. There are sometimes when someone calls me, I won't pick, and probably I would prefer please text, because that's another thing. Or when you are asleep and you hear messages. Actually, I don't know if it's a good thing, but when I go to sleep, I know it is not very good because we can have an emergency. I prefer to have my phone silent because I want when I get to bed, I sleep. Maybe when I wake up, maybe I can check maybe someone.
Whether someone had tried to
call me, it might be an emergency. But I normally feel that peace when I get home. It gets a certain time, and you put your phone on silent mode, and you only respond what you think it should be responded. Other things can be an emergency.
Yeah.
Or at work, someone wants to tell you something, I'm not coming, or there's something which is needed, you can just respond. But basically, I think you control on the usage and the timing and all that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I appreciate your views on the same. And actually, I want to encourage our viewers. I know it is not easy, and especially if you have not been trying or practicing the same. But one of the best way of also putting some checks and balances and control to help one another. Have it open. Have it open so that the moment my wife realizes that I cannot, every time I get into the house, I switch the phone off. It damages the trust. Let it be open. Let it be open. For us in godly marriage, for us in marriage bliss, we advocate openness. We advocate, let us be very open to one another. And so we encourage you. I know some of the viewers, you might not be practicing the same, but you can try. You can try. The other thing is also having such boundaries whereby you don't allow, during your private time, during your quiet time, during the night, people intruding. There should be that boundary, and people need to know that past some hours, you don't call. And when you call, I don't respond. At some point, at some place, I think it was at my workplace, we used to call it ungodly hours, calling during ungodly. Okay, those are godly hours, but don't call. Don't call. Learn to respect other people. Probably you are a supervisor somewhere. Learn to respect other people's marriage. We are advocating for family values, and one of the way of respecting family values and space is where you don't keep calling at night on matters relating to work. And so we appreciate you, the minors, for such a time that we have had together. We appreciate the wisdom of God that you have when it comes to the marriage. And indeed, I have learned and realized that you carry a lot of wisdom, which we can share several other times to the people, because our main agenda at Marriage Bliss is to build godly marriages and to partner with God to help other people who are struggling in the areas in the institution of marriage, so that at the end of the day, they will also find joy, because marriage is beautiful. We say marriage is beautiful, marriage works, but we need to work on it. So thank you so much, viewers, for joining, and please click on that share button, share with other people, so that they can as well get blessed. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minas. Thank you so much, my sweetheart Irene, even for such a time. And we look forward to meeting again at such a place, such a time. God bless you. Amen.